This is a special edition of 17 News, investigating accusations of election fraud, ballot tampering, and the security of your vote. Facts versus fiction. Kern County's election integrity.
Tonight, your ballot is on the way ahead of the 2022 election.
And while there's mudslinging in races and sensationalizing attack ads ahead of this election, the most contentious issue isn't even on the ballot. It is your ballot. Good evening, I'm Alex Fisher.
And I'm Maddie Gannon. One of the most significant points of contention over the past 2 years, election integrity. Claims have surfaced across the nation, including here at home, that the sanctity of your vote has been tainted with fraud. The claims amplified 2 years ago by the president.
This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen.
Our local election officials say that's impossible. But tonight, we investigate Kern's election integrity. We'll show you how many dead people we found still receiving ballots, and the election fraud committed here in Kern County to look to see if it's impacting elections.
The election process is extraordinarily complex, and certain parts of that process can easily be taken out of context. We're sifting through those complexities to help you better understand who's voting in Kern County, including a couple of suspected murderers casting their ballots from their cells. We also look at where each of the 440,000 ballots are headed and why thousands will end up in mailboxes all over the world. Printed, sealed, and in the mail. For most people these days, the mailbox is the ballot box.
Well before 2020, the majority of people in Kern County were already voting by mail.
Voting by mail is not new. People have been casting their absentee ballots for decades, but you had to notify the elections office ahead of time. Coronavirus changed that. Now, every registered voter gets a ballot in the mail, even if they didn't ask for it or haven't voted in years. We took 2 months to examine every aspect of Kern's voter rolls. We picked apart every detail. When we had a question, we reached out, calling, emailing, texting, even writing letters. 917,673 people live in Kern County, according to the latest census data. 440,000 of the 654,000 adults in Kern are registered to vote. Earlier today, ballots for each of them were sent in the mail. Nearly all ballots will stay in Kern County, but thousands of others will end up in mailboxes all over the world.
You'd see those ballots going out of Kern County and then coming back because, again, residents have the right to vote for our local races and then obviously in state and federal races to vote in those as well, our citizens.
We found nearly 1,700 ballots leave Kern but stay in the United States. Most end up in the Bay Area or Southern California. Another 1,600 will head to the other 49 states. But 637 ballots will travel overseas.
I was in Spain at the time of the primary elections.
Haley McDonald lives in Bakersfield, but was in Europe during the June primary. She still wanted to cast her ballot.
Since I turned 18, have always made a point to vote. I think it's important to exercise that right. I'm thankful to have it. And even though I was abroad at the time of the election, it was a primary election that would be affecting the election, the general election that's happening this fall.
The ballots sent out today will end up in Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, and South America. One ballot will travel more than 10,000 miles to Johannesburg, South Africa. In the 2020 presidential election, about half of the ballots that left Kern County came back to be counted. 700 were Democratic votes. 650 were Republican votes.
Some people live out of the country a portion of the year, but they have a residence here in Kern County, or they go vacation. Well, of course, we want everyone to be able to vote.
But you don't have to be outside of Kern to have your ballot mailed to a different address. We found ballots sent to jail. 7 June primary ballots sent to the Lerdo pretrial facility. 5 incarcerated voters were registered as Democrats, 1 as a Republican, and another as a no-party preference voter. Most are charged with misdemeanors like domestic violence, vandalism, and being drunk in public. But we also found 2 voters charged with murder and awaiting their trials. One man is charged for shooting and killing another man 5 years ago. He is a Democrat. The other is accused of killing his father and assaulting his mother just before Christmas 5 years ago. He is a Republican.
The entire Constitution is calibrated to protect individual liberty. You are supposed to have individual liberty unless it has been shown that you violated the social contract in some way. So if you're sitting there waiting for a trial, then that voting right cannot be taken because the assumption is at this point you are an innocent person.
Only about 1/3 of ballots that go out come back. That's when county officials start looking for fraud, ensuring votes are properly cast. They do this by validating a voter's signature. And while there may be concern voting by mail could lead to fraud, officials say cheating is very difficult.
I would say it's impossible. I mean, with all of the controls that we have in place for, for certainly any kind of for widespread voter fraud.
We examined every voter fraud case in Kern County since 1986. We asked the DA's office if there was any fraud in the 2020 election. There's none the district attorney knows of. Not even one case. In fact, the last voter fraud case prosecuted in Kern County stemmed from the 2018 election. Court records show Lisa Hammond, a Republican, cast her son's vote-by-mail ballot. Her son lived in Kern County, but moved to Fresno. He registered to vote there and changed his address at the DMV just days before ballots were mailed. Because it was so close to the election, her son received a ballot at his Fresno home and a Kern ballot at his parents' home. 2 ballots. He voted in Fresno. Hammond said she didn't know he had voted there, so she cast his ballot in Bakersfield. She forged his signature. About 9 months later, after the 2018 election, the Secretary of State's office noticed there were 2 ballots from the same person. One from Fresno, one from Kern, and the signatures did not match. Hammond told investigators there was no ill intent and said she knows how he wanted to vote. Hammond was arrested in February 2020, spending a couple days in jail. When the felony charge was reduced to a misdemeanor, she pleaded no contest to a charge of misusing voter registration information and paid a $500 fine. While voter fraud happens in Kern, it is rare. Only 56 people have been charged since 1986. And while there's concern other fraud may go unnoticed, officials say widespread voting fraud cannot be done. As we mentioned, ballots were sent out today. That means you'll receive yours in the mail in a matter of days. But if you receive someone else's ballot, we want to know about it. Email us at 17news@kget.com.
And later tonight, we'll look into the other cases of voter fraud in Kern County and the surprising ways people were caught. But next, a look at the dead people we found still receiving ballots.